Knock, knock, knock.
I said, I know you effing lying. I know you lying.
Don't come knocking on her door.
I gotta go. I can't stay here.
Outrage on TikTok when this woman says random men, one after another, tried getting into her apartment.
These men were physically trying to open my door.
They were cruising for sex. She says somebody was giving out her apartment number on a gay cruising app.
People are telling them my door is unlocked.
How they got into her gated community, and what a former FBI agent told the Shade Room that we all need to do to protect ourselves.
This is very, very dangerous stuff.
I'm Justin Carter. This is TSR Investigates. It was alarming for Deonna Chewning back on December 22nd when somebody in an Amazon uniform knocked on her door. And when she answered, she says that the worker immediately apologized and said that he had the wrong address. She says that it was odd, but when it happened over and over again over the course of a few weeks, with different men too, she says she started asking these men questions and she got a shocking answer. They were cruising for hookups on the Sniffies app. She says that's not her business, but what is her business is how her apartment complex handled it, which she says is unforgivable.
Hi. Who are you looking for?
7.5 million people on TikTok watched 36-year-old Deonna Chewning confront the second man in just 15 minutes that had tried to get into her unit at the Bricks Warehouse Apartments in Phoenix, Arizona.
Do you mind providing me the name? And I said, what's her name? Because I'm assuming that he's looking for a woman. And there's a lot of, women on my floor. So I'm like, maybe it's just a mix up. He goes, I don't have a name. I'm like, well, you don't have a name? He goes, no. And I said, do you mind just telling me? I was like, I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I knew I needed to make him feel comfortable to pull as much information out of him as possible. So I know where to go so I can try to stop this. And he goes, it's a guy on guy ad. And I was like, oh.
He shows her the Sniffies app and a message inviting other men to her apartment for a sex meetup.
So when he showed me the profile, all I saw was kind of like an image. And I saw like stats like 5'11", 225.
20 minutes later, a third man shows up.
Hi, I don't know who's sending you guys here, but you're the third guy, and it's the wrong address. Okay.
So I had 3 guys arrive within about a 45-minute time frame. And I'm like, Sniffies. And I searched it.
And we look too. It's a map-based app that shows you where the hookups are in real time. Restaurants, theaters, gyms, hotels, even vacant parking lots. You can click a drop down and tell the host how long it'll take you to get there. You can be anonymous or not.
You can just show up at random people's houses and people are telling them my door is unlocked. So that's why these men were physically trying to open my door.
Chewning says she paid the $7 fee for a free trial to sniff around the app and noticed that her neighborhood was listed as a hotspot. She called police and filed a report and also notified apartment management about it. A week later, she took her TikTok followers' advice and got a Ring camera. But that same day, a fourth guy shows up.
And this guy, walks up, he turns the doorknob, and when he sees the door is locked, he kind of like jumps and he just kind of walks off and goes about his day.
On January 9th, a fifth man.
So he kind of stopped. He saw that he was on camera. He walked off. I can see him looking at his phone like, do I have the right address? In his mind, you can see he confirms it's right. He comes back and tries to open the door. And then when he sees that it's not open, he walks off and leaves as well.
It has to be somebody internally, don't you think?
When it started to happen over and over again, I was just kind of racking my brain on, is this intentional? Is this by mistake? Because you can only make the same mistake so many times.
She says she filed another police report. Then she alerted the overnight security staff, who was no help. They told her to call the property manager in the morning.
My heart just dropped into the pit of my stomach and I immediately started crying. And I was like, I gotta go. I can't stay here.
Days later, they reviewed the cameras.
Once they got back to me, they said they checked the cameras and apparently that all 5 guys were able to access the building by piggybacking. meaning they were able to drive in behind somebody at the gate. And then they just, if they were downstairs, somebody held the door open that allowed them to come in each and every time, which in my mind is still suspicious to me.
She decided she had to go and hoped to either relocate to another building or break her lease. In the end, she decided to break her lease and was allegedly told that they'd reduce the $4,000 penalty.
I was under the impression that they were trying to help me until I get met with a rescission document that is a legal binding document that's saying, oh, we're only going to help you if you don't talk about this going forward. Something tells me that if I was maybe another race or I looked different, that this would have been taken care of differently.
She turned that offer down and depleted her savings so she could move out.
This is very, very dangerous stuff.
The Shade Room took this to former FBI Special Agent Jerry Clark.
If I was working a case like that, the first thing I'd want to know is if she had a relationship that went astray and somebody was trying to get back at her for something, or a friendship, or somebody at work.
Chewning says she had no problem with her neighbors and doesn't know who would want to disrupt her peace. But Clark says as social media apps continue to grow in popularity, something has to be done to protect people.
A lot of times these crimes and criminality are so new that the law hasn't and legislation hasn't even been written in order to deal with it. So
Really, it's about leaning on police and just knowing and trusting your gut, right?
you better believe it. If you get a gut feeling something's up, you've seen some red flags in some of the things I've just mentioned, you contact the local law enforcement, contact the FBI if it's an interstate issue, and do not hesitate.
We reached out to property management about this, and we did get a statement from Mark Taylor Residential. They said in part, quote, that due to resident privacy laws, we are unable to disclose the specific details of what has been discussed with our resident. However, we have worked one-on-one with her following this incident to ensure a clear understanding of how the situation was handled and offer our support. We can confirm that all entrances at Brick's Warehouse District are secure. Each resident is responsible for managing the entry of their visiting guests. We strongly encourage our residents to always be aware of their surroundings and keep gates and doors closed, especially to unknown visitors. We also reached out to the Sniffies app to see if they were aware about this. They did not respond to us immediately, but they did write Chewning, saying in part, quote, that if this is an imminent threat, we would suggest contacting your local authorities and reporting the situation to them. If you find any user sharing your address or location, please send us the user's ID directly, end quote. As for Chewning, she says she is moving out of that apartment complex, although this has been a financial burden for her. She did create a GoFundMe page where people can help her out if you'd like, and we do have a link for you on our website, theshaderoom.com, if you are interested. For TSR Investigates, I'm Justin Carter. Hello roommates, and thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Do you want more TSR Investigates? Be sure to subscribe and check us out at theshaderoom.com.